2019. I apologize for logging in a few minutes late today. I have been getting super caught up with TEDx stuff, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. And I realized that I need to brush my teeth. I needed to do some sort of basic hygiene. So here I am, fresh, clean, and ready to share. But before we do that, I'm just going to quickly share this to a couple of my pages and invite some other folks to join in. And if you'd like to do the same, feel free to do so. And then we will get started in about 1 minute. So while I do that, be sure to say hello. And what are you most looking forward to about the rest of your day? Say hello, and what are you most looking forward to about the rest of your day? And then I just have 2 more quick shares to do on here, and we'll be ready to go. Share. All right, there we go. Cool. That's that. And make sure that's lined up. That's working. Let's see who's on here. Hey, Linda. Violet. What's up, Violet? Peter. Hey, Peter. Christine. Christine, we've missed you this week. Good to see you on here. Looking forward to seeing your TED Talk. Yeah, so big announcement is my TED Talk will be posted at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time today. So if you're watching this live, it's just a little after noon Pacific time right now, which means in 5.5 hours, my TED Talk will be posted. And I don't know. It's kind of surreal that it's even happening. It's up on to see it up on the TED with a little TED branding on it and everything. It's pretty cool. And let's see if I can say this without being emotional. I didn't expect all these feelings to come up right now. You know, for a longest time, I've shared with most of you that it's been 4 to 5 years, nearly every single day, that I have thought about doing TED and giving a TED Talk. And to have done it now, but then now be able to a place where I can finally share it with everyone. And see, for a long time, I wanted to do the TED Talk because, just, I don't know, the procedure of doing the TED Talk, the first thought, the first reason behind it, it wasn't right. It wasn't as much about serving others as it was serving myself. And I wasn't aware of that at the time, but I've thought a lot about it. And what I'm realizing now with this more than anything is what I'm so excited about with sharing the TED Talk is it's a message that I believe so strongly in. It's an idea that I think can really help a lot of people. It's something that has been based in a passion project, for lack of a better word, of mine for quite some time, which has been helping people heal from losses, helping people overcome. It's been something that, in one way or the other, I've done to some capacity for, probably the last 12 years. Something that not a lot of people know about me is I, once upon a time, had made this website. And it was a place for people to come and share stories of heartbreak. And if people were going through tough times at the end of a relationship, and they could write to me anonymously, and I would respond as Michael. That was my pen name. The whole website was made as Michael. And I responded to hundreds, if not thousands, of people from all over the world. People would share their stories who were going through tough times with heartbreak. And it was such I never really told many people about it. And at the time when I was doing it, there was a couple of my friends that knew, and that was really it. And because I just wanted to be something about helping other people. And that evolved into the Moving Forward group, which is a group that we have on Facebook now that has, I think, 1,700 people in it that are trying to move forward and heal from a loss. It evolved into my Healing from Loss course, which is really, I think, one of the aside from Unlock Your Greatness, it's my favorite one just because it's such a heartfelt and it deals with a subject matter that I think a lot of people don't want to go into and talk about, but it's such an important one because we're all going to have to face it at some point. And eventually, healing from loss. I would love to do a healing from loss live. And so, what the TED Talk is it's distilled down into that. Where my hope is with it is that anybody who comes to it with an open mind or open heart can take something from it and they can apply it right away. I didn't want to just be a concept that you walk away and you thought about, but I wanted to be some sort of tangible tool that people could walk away from and apply it to their life right away to make an impact, to make a shift, to make a change. And they can also pass it on to others who might be going through a tough time. So it's pretty damn cool to be at this point and getting ready to it. So I'll be posted at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time today on my personal Facebook page, and then it'll go out externally from that. So my ask of all of you is this, and I've said this already a bunch of times, but if you find value in it, and only if you find value in it, please share it to others, pass it on to others. Also, it's on YouTube, and when you go over on YouTube, interact on YouTube, engage on YouTube. It's similar as Facebook. So, comment on it, just put a comment, give it a thumbs up, whatever it is. The more you can engage on it, including the Facebook post, I'll put it up in a Facebook post. The more engagement we can get on it, the more we can help it go out to other people and try to work with the technology and the Facebook systems that we have here. So I just really hope and encourage all of you that it's impactful, it's meaningful, it's something that you can receive with an open heart, and that you'll have maybe have a couple loved ones who will benefit from it too. So that's TED. That's going to be tonight. Hey, Heather, good to see you on here. Oh, Violet, thank you. Amazing course, Healing from Loss. Hey, Carrie, good to see you on here. First of all, I can watch it live. Yeah, I like the POW. It's like Batman and Robin, Christine. You and me, Batman and Robin. Okay, that's, I think, oh, and so, with that being said, and I just want to throw this out here, and then you all let me know. I'll leave it to you, but I had a thought, because with it coming out today, we have one more in our Unstuck series, one more of these scheduled for tomorrow at, I think it's noon or 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. My thought is maybe we do an audible on it and we open it up to doing a discussion of the TED Talk. That way, that encourages all of you to watch it between now or between 5:30 p.m. Pacific time tonight and tomorrow. And then we can come and we can have a discussion about it. You can have questions about it. You can invite some friends to join in who might have questions about it. I really want it to be an open forum around it, because what I want to do is I want this to be a tool that people can use, and I want to be accessible with it. So I'm really going to make myself as available as possible to respond to comments, answer questions on Facebook, on YouTube, if it gets onto the official TED site, and so on and so forth, because I want it to be something where we're dealing with a big subject here, and I want to give people the love and support they deserve with it. So what do you think of that? Would you be open to that? We switch tomorrow and have it be a discussion around TED. Just, put a comment in there. If you want to keep it with being the scheduled Unstuck one, we can totally do that too. It's up to you. Our last announcement, then we're going to jump into today's training, is be sure to register. I'm speaking as a part of the summit. If you haven't already, it's a free summit that Melissa Wolf is hosting, and you'll get my interview along with quite a few other people. And if you haven't already registered for that, be sure to do so. Melissa is absolutely awesome. She actually just hopped onto my Facebook page and was saying that she's going to start promoting this on one of her groups, and she wanted to share the TED Talk, which I thought was totally sweet and such a awesome move of her to do that, because she definitely does not have to do that, and that was really cool. So she's definitely a good human being, and has put a great panel together for all of you. So if you want to participate in that, just click that link, you put in your email, and then they will email it directly to your inbox. And I think that's it for updates. So first of all, questions about the last 3 days. Has it been helpful? We started off Monday talking about the number one reason why most people get stuck, and we talked about belief systems and limiting beliefs. Number two, we painted the picture of what happens when we get stuck and we stay stuck. And I used the story of my dad, some other personal stories. And then yesterday we started to work through some of the how. We talked about specific ways that we can work through getting unstuck, how we can change our stories, right? What we can do to change our stories, the actions that we can take to support our news stories, how we can work through our belief systems. So I want to check in really quick and see, one, has it been helpful? And two, has it been, is there any questions about anything we've covered? Cool. I see lots of yeses for Ted and doing the audible. That's awesome. So I don't know if there's a little bit of a delay right now or not. Maybe there is. Let's talk about today, which today I wanted to roll out to you my the four-step zero limits, the four-step top secret. That's not really going to be so top secret anymore, because I'm going to tell it to you right now. Zero limit system for getting unstuck and becoming unstoppable. So the 4 steps, top secret, zero limits, if I could talk, system for getting unstuck and becoming unstoppable. When I sit down and work with my clients, so I'm going to give you kind of the overview today of what this looks like. There's processes I take each individual person through. But when I initially start working with somebody, the way I typically will structure coaching with them is most everybody begins with an 8-week program. And the way we break down those 8 weeks is we kind of build it around this specific system, this specific structure. It's the process I found that is the most effective for getting people through, that helps make immediate and long-lasting change, then also helps develop success habits and systems around that to support people. Because what we don't want to do, and we've talked about quite a bit, is we don't want to get an idea, get a concept, say, yeah, that sounds good, I could do that, and then we do nothing with it. It's imperative that when we start to create change, and for sustainable change, that we have to set up systems and we have to take actions and build new habits and around to support that. So the process I'm going to lay out is really about making those shifts and then creating the habits afterwards to support that. So there's 4 essential steps in this. There's a 5th bonus one, but there's 4 core steps to getting unstuck and becoming unstoppable. And the first one is we got to get to the roots. We have to dig in. We have to do some gardening. So you've likely heard me use the metaphor before of the garden of your mind, right? And if the garden of your mind is this open soil, this open field that you can plant into it, whatever you want. What happens with many of us is that it gets filled, or maybe it gets polluted, rather, that might be a better word. It gets polluted with weeds, trash, with all the garbage that the world heaps on us, right? If you turn on the news, boy, it's just like dumping seeds of probably toxicity and animosity, anger in there. If limiting beliefs that you've learned from your friends, your family, challenges that you faced, the stories that somebody else told you, right? So all those things can go into the garden of your mind, and they can act as weeds that might be your belief systems, your limiting beliefs. And if you want to get unstuck and create long-lasting and sustainable change, you have to get at the root of that. A weed doesn't die if you go and snip the top of it. What it does is it disappears, everything looks okay for a while, but all the while things are looking okay, the root of the weed is growing underneath, and it's getting stronger, it's taking the nutrients from the soil, and when it comes back, it's going to come back and bring friends with it too. Now, you can snip all you want, but the weeds will keep coming back until you get to the root. But what happens for most people is they never get to the root of the weed, and then the weeds eventually overtake the garden. And when they look outside and they say, yeah, I should go do something, but they see all the weeds out there, they throw their arms up and say, oh, this gardening stuff isn't for me. This is the time of year right now where New Year's resolutions start to lose some of their momentum. How many of you know someone, or maybe are that person, who have found themselves in a position where you're saying, well, this New Year's resolution isn't for me. This gym stuff isn't for me. This communication in my relationship stuff isn't for me. This getting up early stuff isn't for me. This giving up chocolate stuff isn't for me. Because there were so many weeds there to begin with that we didn't get to the root of what caused us to do the behaviors anyways, which means it's only a matter of time till we fall back on it. So the first step we have to do in getting unstuck and becoming unstoppable is we have to get to the root cause. We have to get to the root of the weed and get rid of it. Because once we do that, we create space. And when we have space, we can plant new things. And to do that, though, we have to go on to step 2, which is we have to identify and eliminate negative patterns or our bad habits. So if somebody smokes, for example, let's say they wanted to stop smoking, they wanted to give up smoking, but they're stuck in their smoking. They likely know that they shouldn't smoke. They likely know that they don't want to smoke. But the problem isn't the smoking. The problem is the patterns, the habits they have that go into smoking. Because for most of those people, before they even realize it, they probably have a cigarette in their hand and they're already puffing. And then they say, oh shit, I'm wanting to stop smoking, but here I am smoking again. See, there's habits that go into it. There's habits that serve us. If you look at my story, right, if you rewind back to Tuesday and I was talking about my being stuck in my relationship with my dad, there was certain things I would do or didn't do that would make me think of my dad. And once I would think of my dad as I did or didn't do those certain things, it would promote the story, it'd cause the story to start to go. And so then I would know it was time to have animosity. I would know it was time to be angry at my dad. See, a powerful question that each of us should ask ourselves each and every day is, how do we know when it's time to, and fill in the blank? How do we know when it's time to smoke? How do we know when it's time to get upset at our partner? How do we know when it's time to hit our snooze button and not honor our word to get up earlier? How do we know when it's time to give up on the gym? See, most of us, we don't ask ourselves questions like that. We don't challenge that in ourselves. We just do it and we throw our arms up and we say, well, that's it, and imply to ourselves that we're powerless to do anything to change. But see, nothing could be further from the truth. Each and every one of us here has so much power inside of ourselves, so much potential. But that potential often goes unrealized because of the stories we tell ourselves about why we can't change, and the habits, the negative patterns, the bad habits that we've built that support those behaviors that keep us frozen and stuck. So we need to identify, step 2 is we need to identify those bad habits. We need to identify those negative patterns of behavior. If you have a tendency, easy example, easy thing you can try today. If you have a tendency to, as soon as you get home, to immediately go to the couch, plop down and put your feet up and watch TV, or there's something that you do right when you get home that you don't want to do, I challenge you to do this. When you get home today, if you park your car, park your bike, you walk home, whatever it is, rather than going through the door like you normally would, which is you go in, you have your keys in the same hand, you have stuff in your alarm, whatever you do, you open the door and you walk through. What I challenge you to do is unlock the door with your opposite hand and then turn around and walk through the door backwards. Just do it and trust me with this. I know it's going to feel weird. It's going to be strange. And you're probably thinking, well, Jesse, why the hell would I walk through my door backwards? That just seems so stupid. What's this have to do with getting unstuck and becoming unstoppable? Just the action of that alone, what you'll notice is that when you do that, you're going to feel different. And what's going to happen in that is you're going to start a different program going into your mind. And that program is going to be called, wait a minute, what the hell is going on here? This isn't what we always do. Remember, we're creatures of habit. 90+% of who we are is our habits. We're doing things all day, every day, all the time. That's why that question about how do we know when it's time to is so powerful, because most of us never stop to challenge ourselves. Most of us never stop to look at what we're doing. We just do it. And then afterwards we go, well, I wonder why the hell that worked out that way. Why isn't anything changing? Well, we're doing the habits all the time to support it. So if you start to do things differently, to deconstruct your habits, to change your routine, it forces your mind to go, wait a minute, this is a glitch in the software. We got to write a new program really quick. And that's where you can start to have freedom over the patterns, the habits that you've built. Okay, number 3. Once we've identified the bad habits, the limiting belief, gosh, I am really having a hard time talking today. So once we've gotten through and we've gotten the roots, we've identified the bad habits, the bad patterns, and we've disrupted those, we can do step 3, which is we can install new habits and new patterns. If we go back to ourselves, so let's just say hypothetically, and you can all even do this right now so you can feel a shift. I just want you to imagine yourself walking through your front door, the same way you've done countless times, you've done the day, and just notice how in your mind that feels. And I encourage you all to do this with me, just so you can have an experience. Imagine just walking through your front door right now. Notice how it feels. And go ahead and hit rewind on that image. So I want you to back yourself out and just right before you go through the front doors. And so you should have noticed that, right, as you walk through the front door in your mind, nothing seems different. Everything seems kind of how it always is. But now this time I want you to walk through the door backwards. So get the door open and then you're just going to walk through it backwards. And notice that even in your mind, as you try to construct this image, and that's really key, right? You're not, see, before you might have remembered it. Even if you were imagining, you may have been remembering the countless times, the hundreds of thousands of times you walk through your front door, so it's easy for you. You're not having to create anything, you're just going off of autopilot, something that's familiar. But if you notice that when you turn yourself around and you're going backwards, now you're having to construct an image in your mind, aren't you? You're having to tell your mind to do something it's never done before. So as you go through the door backwards, what happens? It feels different, doesn't it? How many of you did this in your mind just now, and how many of you felt a difference? And you can just type in, I felt a difference, me, something like that. Just let me know that you're paying attention. I'm gonna get a sip of water real quick. So did you do this in your mind, and did you notice there's a difference? Because you had to construct an image. Peter, cool, Peter. Good to see you on here. Me, awesome. Yes, felt the difference. Cool. Christine, Carrie, awesome. Yes, felt the difference. Very cool. So just notice that even in your mind, even in this hypothetical scenario that you're just creating in there, you could physiologically feel a difference. Because now you're going from something that you've done that's so routine to now you're actually creating it. You're making a conscious decision to create something new, a new pattern. This is what we mean when we say develop new habits, create new patterns of behavior. Because what you're doing now is you're doing something intentional. And now what happens then in that moment by doing that is you've created the opportunity for choice for you. What I mean by that is when you go through the front door the same way you always have, you're going in a pattern that you've always done. I'm willing to bet, and I don't even have to see you all walk through your doors, but I'm willing to bet that once you walk through your front door the way you always have, you're going to go and do the exact same thing that you've always done before. Maybe it's put your keys down. Maybe it's run to the bathroom, right? Maybe it's go and put your phone on the charger. Maybe it's set groceries down, whatever it is. But there's a few key things that you're always going to do. There's a pattern that runs and says, okay, I'm going through the front door now, and this is what I need to do next. And then after you do that, whatever that is you do next, you'll probably do something else. And then you'll probably do something else that's all in that line. Maybe you go to the bathroom first, then you go put your keys down. Or maybe you put the keys down, then you go to the bathroom. Or maybe you put the groceries down, then you put your keys down, then you go to the bathroom. Something like that, right? This is why we might sometimes feel that we're living in Groundhog Day. We're doing the same thing over and over again because in some very ways we are. Because we're doing so many things habitually. And so when we go in and out of these spaces that we've always done, we're going on autopilot. And that's why if I were to ask most of you, what did you do last Tuesday? Most of us probably couldn't remember anything unless there was something significant going on that day, something that was, made it stand out and made it seem different. This is why our days blend together. Because we're going through the days so habitually that we're not taking time to be conscious creators of it. So when you go through backwards like that, you've changed the programming. You're forcing yourself to create a new program, to create a new habit. So this is what we mean in step 3 about creating new habits, new patterns of behavior. Fourth step of the 4-step system is then it's all about taking action. How many of you have heard me say this week, last week, at any other time when you have joined me on a live thing or if you've done coaching with me, have heard me say you must take action, you got to take action, you got to take action, you need to take action. What is your action you're going to take? Share your action you're committed to taking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because see, all these things are great in theory. Those of you who actually just took the time to do the exercise and then did the visualization or did the visual creation rather, the creation in your head, you took an action and you got something out of it. You got an experience. So for those of you who didn't do it, you're probably sitting there saying, well, Jesse, what the hell are you talking about doing this backwards, backing in the kind of nonsense? But those of you who took the action, actually did it, you got something out of it, didn't you? When I work with clients, one of the things that we have them do each and every time is once we finish a session, they have homework. It's action steps they need to take. And then my expectation is that they email me the homework. Once they email me the homework, we usually develop and evolve more actions from there. Because it's action that creates change. It's action that produces habits. It's action that helps us build in those new habits we want to create. And without action, and we choose inaction, things will always be the same. So we have to take actions. We need to take specific actions that are in alignment with the new habits we want to support. See, we've cleared out the weeds. We can plant whatever we want. We've disrupted and eliminated the bad habits that supported the production of weeds. We've installed new habits that help us grow that which we want to grow. And then we got to take action. If we're not out there watering and nurturing, taking the actions of watering and nurturing our new crop, eventually it's going to wither and die, like some of our dreams might, some of our aspirations might, when we don't water them and we don't nurture them every day. And then in their place, what ends up happening, weeds start to take root and they start to grow and they start to come back and they start to overtake it until eventually everything is cloudy, negative, unhappy, hopeless, whatever the case may be. And we find ourselves very stuck. So we have to take action with it. That's it. Those are the 4 steps. I always say that there's a 5th bonus step, and the 5th bonus step is working with a coach, a mentor, somebody who can help hold you accountable, which I highly, highly recommend. You guys, we cannot do this alone. I was talking with somebody the other day, and they were saying that when they were in school studying for therapy, that so many people, all the therapists would work with therapists, and how much it was preached that they do that. And they were asking if it's the same with coaches. I said, absolutely. I said, one thing I noticed, as good as I am with people, I cannot see past my own self, my own biases. I can't get out of my own way. I need to have that external person who is going to give me guidance, who's going to be able to look at things and see it from a different perspective outside of my mind, because I have my own habits, my own biases, my own belief systems driving it. So it is imperative that we get some support. There is so much to do and so much to accomplish in life. And there's so many wonderful things that we can do. And I encourage each and every one of you that if you have a dream, you have a goal, something that you desire, something you want to do, if you're really committed to getting unstuck, if you really want to become unstoppable, don't put the burden of that on your shoulders alone. Get people around you to help you, to support you, to help you get through those obstacles, to help you break down those barriers and work through the challenges and take you to heights that you've always wanted to, because your goals and your dreams, they're 100% worth it. So that's what I have for you all today. Has this been helpful? And what questions do you have? What questions do you have? I have a few moments for questions. No news watching here. Questions. Oh no, what just happened here? Oh, there we go. What about complacency? What do you mean, Peter? What about complacency? If you could be more specific, I would be happy to expand on that. And just while I'm waiting for you all to type in your questions, a couple quick reminders. We got TEDx being released at 5:30 p.m. tonight. I'll be posting it on my personal Facebook page. I'll share it over here as well. So please be on the lookout for that. I think we had enough votes that we are going to change tomorrow's live from the 5th in our Unstuck, and we'll open that up to doing a discussion on TEDx. So I encourage you all to watch it beforehand and then come with something to share, to contribute. You know, questions that you have about it, I'll be there to help you, to help elaborate on it, explain. Be sure to sign up for the free summit that Melissa Wolf is hosting. I put that link in there. And it's going to be myself along with quite a few other experts who are going to be sharing with you how to distinguish physical and mental burnout by reigniting your purpose. And I think Melissa is really excited to host this and share it. And I think there's going to be a lot of great value on there. It's completely free. The interviews will be mailed to your inbox, so be sure to register for that. And let's see what questions we have. Peter, did you get to expand on that? Very helpful. Awesome, Maggie. Thanks for being here. I have a tendency to get bored and then complacent. So when we're bored and we're complacent, and I'm not quite sure still what you're asking. I understand you might have a tendency for that, is if you're asking for help or resolution with it. Usually bored and complacency is because we find ourselves in this kind of limbo where we're not putting emotion into things. See, I could go out and watch the grass grow and I could be completely bored with it. I could go out and watch the grass grow and I could be absolutely thrilled with it. It depends on what emotional state I'm in at any given time. See, when we find ourselves stuck at any given time, we often find ourselves stuck in certain emotional states, our defaults, right? I would even argue that the feeling of feeling stuck it's an emotional feeling. How would we describe it? What the cocktail of stuckness is different for everyone. For some people, it might be, sadness, frustration. Others, it could be depression, anger. It could be a host of things that go into this emotion that we call stuck. So I would have it hard to articulate what specific emotions it is, but any of us who have ever been there know it when we're there. We feel stuck. And so the challenge in getting unstuck is finding the emotional states we want to feel. It's changing our habits, changing our patterns. So the question I would have you ask yourself, Peter, is just like we said before, is how do you know when it's time to get bored? How do you know when it's time to get complacent? If you ask yourself that question, you'll be able to follow the breadcrumbs back to the place where you do. Because there's also times, I'm guessing that you have a tendency to get bored and complacent, that there's also times that you're not bored and complacent. So follow those breadcrumbs back and see where the deviation happens, and you'll start to find some really cool answers there. Hi, Jesse. Do you ever incorporate Jesus with counseling? It depends on the person. My role for the work I do is not to be religious, is to not be biased or judgmental or inclusive or exclusive of anything. If somebody believes strongly in Jesus, then that's absolutely something because it's relevant to them. If someone doesn't believe in Jesus, that's totally fine too because it's relevant to them. If somebody comes to me and they believe in Buddha, they believe in the sunflower god, whatever that is, my place is never, when I work with somebody, is never to judge or to tell them what's the right way or the wrong way to do something. It's to only support them in getting from where they are to where they want to be, and so they can live the most fulfilling life possible. And for some folks, that's a life where Jesus, Buddha, sunflower god, whomever that is part of their life, and for others, that isn't. And what I say to all that is that's awesome. Whatever is going to bring people fulfillment in life, that's my role, that's my mission. Good question. You bet, Peter. Any other questions? We got time for another one if you have one more. And while we're waiting just to see, I should ask, who is going to be watching TEDx today? So reminder, tomorrow, I think it's 12 or 12:30. I can't remember which time it is exactly. And then I will have the schedule out. If you're on the email list, I'll have the schedule out for next week. That'll get mailed to you Saturday some point. So be sure you're on there for that. And yeah, I think that's it. So wherever you are, morning, noon, or night, thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for your time, your contribution, your questions, your shares. I appreciate each and every one of you. I sincerely hope this was of value. If you have other questions about that, don't hesitate to post them in the comments, to message me. I'll be happy to answer them. And I hope you can join us tomorrow for a discussion on the TED Talk. Again, please, when it comes out, if it's something you find value, only if it's that, just go a little over the top with engaging. Post a comment on YouTube, push a like on YouTube, share it from Facebook, share the post from Facebook, post comments in there. The more you can engage on it, the more it's going to help it get out to more people. Me. That's awesome. Thanks, everyone. And I really hope that it makes a difference, that I believe it can. So, and I know that with all of you helping put it out there, it has the potential to do that. So thank you, each and every one of you, wherever you are, morning, noon, or night. Carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. Remember, we'll only promise this one. So make the absolute most of it. Sending lots of love to you. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.